Hello and welcome to my studio tour of 2019. I decided to make a video about this because I used to have a studio that I rented 5 years ago that was totally awesome, but I never documented it. It was a shared studio space with a few other artists, and now it's gone. So this is my studio and there's some paintings. It's my old bedroom in my mother's apartment. I don't live here. I live in Oslo and this is a nearby town, so it has a beautiful natural view. It's quiet and very nice, and it's quite big, and I have it alone, so it's totally awesome. Like I said, I don't live here, but soon you will see that I do have a bed in there, and that's because whenever I sleep over at my mom's place, like after Christmas, or just because I wanted to paint some more that night, I sometimes sleep over, and it's really not a problem. And there's me because I don't use turpentine or any other like paint thinners and stuff that is dangerous for your health and it is or smelly or things like that. I use just oils basically to thin, and I use like soap to clean up my brushes, so it's a very pleasant smelling place actually. Here I store my papers and plates. I don't really have like a cabinet for the papers, but I wish I had one that was like very flat and wide to store papers. This one is not belong to me. It's my brother's stuff, and he has moved out, but still. Here I store my rolls of canvas. It's Belgian linen, and I buy a big expensive roll and then I just cut it to paint on it. And there's also some old paintings in there and scrap pieces of canvas. And here's my little travel easel, or etudnik, bought in Russia, in the academy there. There's my easel, my main one, and a painting that I'm working on. It should be finished by the time the video is out, and I guess I tried to show like the texture or something, but it was still early in the process. You can probably see the finished painting on my website, which is linked down below. If I just turn the camera on. Yes. Oh, and there's an old painting that you can always also find on my website if you want it. And there's my view. It's very quiet, but you can see the main road down. So when I open to the window to air, which I do all the time, you hear this sound. Oh, and there's my lamp, which is very special. It's a daylight lamp for artists. It's very strong. It was very expensive, one of the more expensive items I do own, but it's so worth it. I would definitely buy it again if it for some reason would break. And you can see I have my iPad in the chair. I use my iPad to look at the reference photos and stuff like that. I don't have a printer, but I'm planning to buy one. This is my palette. It's just a glass with some tape around it, and it has a light grey color. I like the glass because it's very easy to scrape off dried paint and it's easy to mix on, and I really like it. And there's a gel that I use currently now. It's greens for oils by Suddenly. Yeah, it's supposed to be totally toxic free and environmentally friendly, and it smells like grass actually. I like it. But I don't know what it is, and they are very secretive about what is inside of it. But it works, so I'm using it. This is paint, and homemade paint, and lots of different brands of oil paints. I'm trying high-end, low-end, all of that. Try to go for artist quality paints only, but sometimes you want to just try something for sketching and stuff to see the difference. And you see my older flasks you see in the behind there. It's different types of oils, and you can see my brushes are divided into sections. Like this is the thin, rigger ones, This is the natural hairs. I don't have a lot of them, but they are very useful for some special things. This is the Ivory series from the Rosemary brushes, and these are yeah, and those are the bristles, and the previous one was the acrylic or the synthetics ones, and these are the big sized one, you can see. The oils I'm using actually is such as spike oil, or there's my gesso, and there's a little thing to listen music on, and that's a pigment that I use quite often. You can see it on my palette. It's not usually sold in a tube, so I mix it on the palette. I don't make a tube of it because it's doesn't store very well in tubes. And there's my soap where I clean my brushes. The pigment is Herculano Red. I think Rublev, the brand, does carry the paint, but oh, there's my tripod. But it's very expensive to get it into Europe. And there's some empty boxes, and on if I get cold, but it's not very cold in that room, so I should do it actually in Oslo. And there's the fridge that I don't use, a small one. I got it for free from someone, but it's smart, you never know. When it's smart to have a fridge in your studio when you can, right? And there's some portfolios with all the works and my portfolio which I'm working on, etc. So you can see my working place. And behind it is this cabinet, oak cabinet with stuff upon it. Let's look at the stuff. From this corner, there are two big sketchbooks that I absolutely love. The one on the bottom is Canson mixed media, and on the one that looked like an old book is actually, we will see it soon, but it's just a cover of a book and then a homemade sketchbook with my favorite papers in it. So it's a very amazing sketchbook, and it's big and it has amazing paper in it. And there's just some plates for like sketches and plein air. And there's a painting, you can also find it on my website, and a few other paintings. I just stack them, I don't want to have them bulked, so I will stack the same sized ones together. There's my mugs that I get for Christmas. Every year I get some kind of a mug, and I have too many of them, so I just keep them there. There's a little statue. It's a copy in marble, but from the Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg. I really like it, but I think the original statue is like a bronze. This is just a box that I liked. And there's another still life painting. It's an older painting from 2013. You can find it on my website. A candle, some cards I got for my birthday and Christmas. I really like when people actually write something. Oh, and there's an artwork that I won of. There's an artist called Nelly Zerlin. She's Canadian, I think, but I met her in Russia, and I bought some paintings from her that I have in my home, like big ones. That's a small one. And just some canvases over there. And on the side there is a shelf that I'm not using. Maybe I should set it up. A frame and another canvas. And this oak cabinet doesn't hold a lot of art supplies. And the reason is because oak cabinets, like big old cabinets, especially oaks, they are not like archival. They do produce some acids inside, like so over time, if you keep papers there, for example, they will become more brittle because it's not acid free. But I do keep things in boxes and things that it's not papers. So just very random stuff. I could have organized it better, but yeah. And inside here, if I can open it, It's just some, again, almost empty books. My watercolors, as you can see, and empty again. And in here, my drawing supplies, inks, books, actually a few sketchbooks, but mostly books, empty books, and again, stuff. But almost empty, I think. There's a lot of room in there. And the reason this one is not so full is because I had another shelf that is full. It's a bookshelf from IKEA, a normal Billy one, I think. And starting from the top, in the back there I have smaller sketchbooks and pads of different kinds, which you can see there. And in the front I have a few decorative pieces like Christmas ornaments, like Russian ones, a few empty books that I can make more sketchbook out of. I have a little statue, I think it's a copy of Michelangelo from the Hermitage Museum again. A skull that belongs to another artist, a friend of mine, but I'm just keeping it. A flask that is 100 years old, and this is a chocolate, like with St. Petersburg theme on it. I can't eat it, it's too beautiful. And there's some more papers. And this next row is a beginning of my pigment collection. I collect pigments because I'm really, what can I say, I'm interested in the history of the colors. I like to make my own paints. I like to experiment. I've used these for oil paints, tempera, for aquarelle, and also I tried to make acrylics, but that was a fail. And some pigments you can get in tubes, and also I like the quality. Actually, in oil painting I like the quality that I make so good. It's like on par with the best and most expensive and pure brands that of like tubed paint I can buy. Oh, there's just an empty matryoshka. That is supplies for conservation, and in the top there is glue, like fish glue, and stuff that I used for work, because my education is kind of conservation studies and art history, and sometimes I work with that, but I don't have like a full-time jobs with that. I don't have a master yet. I'm just currently like working up to the point where I can get into the master and then start my career like that. And while I'm waiting, I'm just a painter, which I don't complain at all. In those wooden cases I store oil paints, like tubes. In this box there is charcoal. In this box, which used to hold tea, is really beautiful. I love tea and I love tea boxes. It's coloring pencils, all of the watch, those that I have. And here is some watercolors, some Petersburg, like White Knight's paint, or the Leningrad. These are bought in Russia as gifts, so I can have gifts for people if I need one. And here is pastel from Sommelier and a few other brands, but like these pastels are the absolute best and they are so fun to work with. I should definitely use them a little bit more, but I absolutely love them. Next row is miscellaneous stuff. There's a dinosaur in the front. Yeah, this shelf I'll show you, but it contains like glue, different kinds of glue. There is a watercolor medium. There is some varnishes of different kinds, some oils. This is acrylic emulsion when I tried to make acrylic paints, which was a fail. My glass molar, super handy. There's some different fixatives in the back. very handy as well. Here's some red bowl, which you use for gilding, like layering down gold. Some glycerin, when I can make watercolor paints, and oils. Oh, and here's masking fluid, a palette, ink. What else? This box is empty, so I'm just taking it out. It used to hold aquarelle in it from Schminke. And under it is a box which contains tubes that I can tube paint in, oil paint. And some random strings. Back here it's kind of dark, but it has seashells. I don't know why I have seashells there. They're pretty random. And here I have some paintings, like sketches on plates. You can find them on my website. I quite like these sketches. Sometimes even more than my big paintings. They're just freer and looser, and I don't know, I like it. The yellow light in here doesn't do this painting justice. I have a few books on paintings, but this is not all that I have. I do have a lot of books, but these are some of my favorite ones. Here is a very special binder. In this binder I keep track of all my materials, like swatches, you will see. I do it by brand and media, so in the beginning here is some watercolors, and you can see swatches of them. And I also keep all kind of leaflets and information cards or charts or engraham there. And any kind of information that I could keep from oil brands and oil interesting kind of mediums. So this binder is very important to me. Sorry if I'm a bit it's just that I just heard the alarm that goes off. That should go off when it's war, but it's usually just testing. But still, you have to check the news and everything when you hear that sound. So I'm a bit distracted. Oh, there is paint that I made. This is oil paint that I made. This is brand. And if you could see the quality difference, I really like the paint that I make myself. They're just so clean and so true to the pigment. I cannot say the same for aquarelle when I make that, because I think that bought professionally made aquarelle is much better than whatever I do. While paints are, oil paints, it's the opposite. I like the ones that I make, except for Rublev. They are a very clean brand. They use only the pigments and oil and loads of different information, and they have rare pigments and everything. You can just look at the different pigments. You see, they explain that they do not use anything else than pigment and binder. And there's some other smaller ones tried out paints. Why is it not focusing? Yeah. And masterclass is like a Russian brown. Here you see I did some experimenting with cobalt. Cobalt is they lose, when you keep oil painting swatches out of light, the oil will yellow faster, or become darker and brown. So it's not. So if you have a white swatch, it will look yellow. So it's not. But the cobalt is much worse than any other blue I've tested out. So I'm not using that. And also there is the ethics of the cobalt and the toxicity. So there are several issues. So I will never buy it again. But yeah, so I've done some testing, some random thoughts for myself, and I don't publish it anywhere, it's just to know it. And then I'm trying different new brands, and there's Holbein. They're okay. You can definitely tell the difference between like Holbein or Kusakabe or Shinan. There's Shinan. And for example, Rublev or Williamsburg or Vasari and one of those like very fancy, super high-end oil paints. There's some smaller companies and more information. And also do swatches for like coloring pencils and whatever, like pastels, whatever I have. Basically, I just make these things, and it's not completed. I have bought more stuff since, but I try to update it sometimes. But the video is not about that, but I think it's very important to have like an overview like that. I think that was it. This is just the last overview of my studio space. Oh, and that big painting I just delivered today to the museum in Oslo for an exhibition. My situation, I do not like the fact that I sit and paint, and this stool is not suitable. I wish I could stand and have more space to walk backwards when I paint it, to be able to have a better look at the painting from different distances. So I would move, preferably move the table somehow, but I haven't figured out how yet. And take out the stool and have like something to just half sit or like rest on, you know, that is on wheels. So like something. And here's just me saying hi in my room, and I've tried to figure out how to